not ready to do this quite yet, but it's all good. It is all good. Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. How is everybody today? Happy Thursday. I wanted to say Wednesday for some reason. So, all this week, we have been talking about intentions and we have been talking about holidays and how we can have intentional holidays. So, today we are on day 5 of the 5-day intentional holiday challenge. I called it the Calm Holiday Challenge on TikTok because I only had this much room on the thing. So, there we go. I'm going to go ahead and share this out real fast because today is the day. If there's any day that y'all hang in here, that you watch, that you get something out of it, today we're putting it all together. So we will go over everything we have went through before in a really quick, fast, and in a hurry thing there. All right, I'm just gonna quickly hit some people here. There we go. All right. So we've talked about what lights us up. We've talked about, and I'll actually get into that here in a minute. Today we're going to talk about alignment, okay? So alignment is when your actions match your values. And that you can think of for anything, okay? We are thinking about that as far as the holiday is concerned. However, when I do content planning, when I look at companies that I'm going to work with, right? Companies that I'm going to use as sponsors, I always try to figure out if that company's product, if what I am doing, like what I am posting content on, does that match my values? Because if it doesn't match the values and it doesn't match the priorities that we're trying to feel or have, well, thank you for coming in. Thank you for the heart, me. I appreciate you, Britt. If it doesn't match all of that stuff, then we're in a space, right? Look at you reaching member level 12. Let's freaking go. Or 12, 21. There's my backwards numbering there. But then we're not moving anything forward the way that we need to. So this is where we're at. We are working from a space of trying to be intentional about everything that we do, right? So if I'm trying to be intentional, I'm going to be trying. Made you double look. Oh my gosh, it was funny. But were you in here when Autumn was in here and we were both just like, oh my goodness, it was so funny. Because she was saying something and I was saying something, but the way I said it could have been taken the wrong way and I was tripping on my words. And then she was like, I would so do that. And I was like, I would so do. It was just funny. Sometimes I feel like, and then she said something about sometimes I feel like we're all like on one brain cell. I'm like, yeah, that about sums it up for sure. Like we're all in the same thing together there, but you think you were in here, yeah. That it was funny. And I really do. I feel like oh my goodness. All right. So we're going to get on with it, onto what we're doing, because I can go on 7 different tangents right now, but that is not what y'all came here for. So alignment equals action that matches your values. An intentional holiday feels less chaotic and more intentional. Not perfect, but supportive and rhythmic. I am multi-streaming again, yes. I got YouTube over here. I got TikTok over here. We're doing the I'm using this challenge as Vlogmas too. So we'll see, because the other day I did it, but I think I had it on private. Whoops. So I'm gonna have to change that in the settings. But anywho, we are, this is the thing, and I'm going to tell you guys this right now because I know I have some people that watch, that come in here, that hang out, that are honestly also content creators. And because of that, I'm going to say this. This is the time. One, this season. Two, if we can get into the habit of doing it this season, it's going to make it easier for us to do it going into the future. And that's working smarter, not harder. So if I can dual stream and have things going in both places at one time, right? I'm over here on YouTube, I'm over here on TikTok. And if I can put both of them going on at the same time, get that same point, that same message across, yeah, I'm going to chop things up differently when it comes to like shorts and TikTok videos and stuff like that. But, or like the actual thing, using this month as your consistency time. Yes. And it's like, if you can get into that flow, right? Because we all want to spend time with our families. We all, even if you don't have kids, you have parents or siblings or what, you have people that you want to spend time with. None of us want to be just stuck on this app, only posting all day, every day. We all have things we want to do. So the sooner we get into this habit of being able to multi-purpose content, of being able to do things in a way that gets the message across both ways. I'm not saying, you know what? I don't know if anybody's going to watch over on YouTube, honestly. Okay? I don't. But it's there. It's there for people to binge later. It's there next year. People can watch this and get a jump start, and I can go ahead and put it in playlists and people can watch it. Like, there's ways that I can work that so that we're doing okay. So when we talk about alignment is not perfect, but it's a supportive rhythm. Rhythms are predictable, but flexible and gentle. I love that, this is the whole reason why I always say I do not do routines. We do rhythms. Because a rhythm is like you do this thing and then you do that thing. A routine or a schedule. Routines, maybe not as much. Routines are kind of like rhythms, but schedules are like, at such and such a time we do this, and then at such and such a time we do that, and if you get where you're either having more fun or you're doing more with this thing than that thing or whatever, you can feel behind before you even, like go through and do anything, right? You're like, scheduled side quests. See, this is what I feel like. I feel like there's a time block thing where time blocking for some people is not a bad thing, because time blocking is still rhythmic. As long as you're flexible to, okay, like if I'm a few minutes late between this thing and this thing, it's fine. But this is, generally speaking, the hours I'm going to get this part of whatever it is done. I don't have a problem with that. I personally don't time block very much anymore. I used to time block, but then if I ran over, I had a really hard time because I wanted it to match up. So like, I didn't want to lose time over on this block, but I also didn't want to take time away from the other blocks. And that is partially because, and we're going to talk about that in this actually, I didn't schedule in buffer time. I didn't schedule in rest time. I didn't schedule in flex time. It was like, this block goes to this block, goes to this block, and every block had a purpose, which is fine, but it was all very, very must do, and put me into that space where if I took too long to do something or something happened, I either had to forfeit this or, so. Okay, so in the last, squirrely and not to have that have a sort of schedule. Yes. So this week, on day 1, we named what lights us up. On day 2, we released old expectations. Day 3, we chose our core values. Day 4, we set our boundaries. And now it's time for the plan. So I want to know what you've learned about yourself in the last 4 days. So I think every time I do this, I think every time I put myself out there, every time I'm talking about it, because as I'm talking to you guys about this, it's triggering different things in my brain, right? Like, oh, there's this time, or oh, there's that time, right? So I think that one of the things that hits home for me is that I am doing a lot more of this, which obviously I'm, teaching it to you guys. I'm teaching you guys what I've already been doing. But just because I've been doing it does not mean that I am there yet. Does not mean that I don't need to consistently go back and make sure that the things that I am doing are what I want to do, and that everything that I'm doing is contributing to what I want to feel. And that's not just in the holidays that, we are talking about this for the holiday, but that's for everything, right? That's for everyday life. If we're doing a bunch of stuff that means nothing to us and is not moving our needle forward, is not moving us forward where we want to get to, there's a problem. There is a problem, and we need to figure out what we need to take away so that we have more time to put into the things that we really want to do. Welcome in, guys. So, what are 1 to 3 things that you want to create more of? I see you over here. I was like, I have somebody on YouTube. I have somebody on YouTube. Thank you. All right. So, what are 1 to 3 things you guys want to create more of this holiday season, right? So, it could be more rest, more connection, more magic, more routines, more slow mornings, more intentional mornings. Like, that's a thing where I feel very much like if we are in this space where we are doing the things, like we're going through and we're looking at the things that we want to do, right? That we want to feel more of. So connection is one of those things. We'll get to what we do not want to do. That is one of the things. So I'm not going to put what I don't want. We're going to put actively what we do want. So connection. I would love more slow mornings. Thank you for the live. I would love more slow mornings. And I'd like more magic. And I love, later on in here is a set of some family mantras, and one of them is magic, not chaos. And I love that because every time I think about, okay, I'm gonna go a little on a tangent here for a minute, but I think it's important and I think it applies. So when I created the Neuro Circus, the reason I created the Neuro Circus is the exact reason why in The Greatest Showman, right? Which is, at least a semi-true story, right? P.T. Barnum created the circus. It wasn't a circus, it was just a show of extraordinary people at first, right? It was one of the critics that called it a circus. And because, like, the circus was, yeah, the circus was this moment where, like, it was looked at as a bad thing at first. Welcome in, welcome in. And really, the way that P.T. Barnum had it, like, he had this idea of, like, it's not a bad thing, right? The circus is this way for these people to, like, bring their extraordinary gifts out of them and show them off and entertain people. And so it's that back and forth way of looking at things, right? Some people can say, oh, the circus is like crazy chaos and horrible, and it means that, like, you don't have your act together, right? And then other people can look at the circus and be like, the circus is like the craziest. Like, what do people do? They go to Cirque du Soleil and stuff like that, right? Like, they crave going to those experiences and seeing that. And so if you are innately, naturally like that, if you have that talent, if you have that gift inside of you, You need to be using that. You need to bring that out and, show the world, right? But that doesn't mean that it is always chaos and ridiculousness and you don't have your act together, right? And I think that is one of the things where I feel like, thank you for the heart me, where I feel like deeply we are in a space where we have this moment where we can be like, okay, like there's chaos and then there's like ridiculous, like over the top, overstimulated, and that's actually what it is overstimulation. Overstimulation, just being over the top of everything. And that's the difference. We can have a chaotic, but yet meaningful moments. Okay. So maybe we do want the magic. We just don't want, and this is something that I said the other day, and I kind of want to coin it, but somebody probably has already said it. So, but I want magic. I don't want drama. And I think sometimes people mistake the chaos that comes with magic as like, oh, it's all drama, it's all whatever. No, like I want the magic. I want the good part of it. I don't want the drama that goes with the chaos. So there we go on that one. What are you not doing this season? What is one thing you are committed to not doing this season? So that can be overcommitting, that can be hosting everything. We talked about that yesterday when I said that everybody wanted to hang out at my house. And it was when I was like in my 20s, okay? It was like before I was even with my girl's father. The family was always like, oh, we want to just like come over all the time. And like everybody was over like at least twice a week during the holiday season, and then Christmas Eve and Christmas Day and New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. Thank you for the live. And it became this thing where people were like always over, and it was stressing me out. I loved it on one hand because I loved everybody wanting to come over. I loved everybody wanting to be there. Like I loved that part, but I did not love the stress and all of the like work and all of the whatever and being the only one. Thank you for the friendship bracelets. Let's go. So maybe I'm not going to host every event, right? I'm not going to travel super far. I'll say, okay, like this holiday season, we're going to keep it at home. And then we'll go like on spring break, or we'll go summertime and go visit when we, one, have more time, two, when there's not all this added extra stress, right? We were talking yesterday again about how like, especially when you have kids, like the holidays can be super stressful just trying to hold it all together. And then if you have kids and you're traveling with kids and their expectations and their excitement is way up here, and you're like trying to just like, all right, everybody calm down, take a deep breath. It can be so super stressful. So, maybe I'm not going to do that. Maybe I'm not going to go in and be like, okay, I'm going to go do all this stuff. I'm going to travel when I don't have to bring extra presents and none of the extra bulky, like weather, stuff, and doesn't even add on the school schedule that's full. Yes, yes. And it's like there's so many things where I think sometimes we're just done before the holiday even happens, just from the kids stuff. And then to add on traveling and stuff like that, yeah, like maybe that's something you don't want to do. Spending too much money, right? Like I'll get everybody something and I'll get everybody something meaningful, but like I'm not going to go, buy everybody the most expensive thing that I can find just because I got it on Black Friday sale, right? Sure, maybe you got it half off, but were you planning on spending that much money anyway? Like that's another side of it, right? Or stressful traditions that just like stressed you out to begin with and stress your whole family out to begin with. Maybe it's time to say, this year, I'm not going to do that. This year, my family, we're going to keep it here. We're going to keep it low key. We're going to have a good time. And, we'll catch you on another couple years or something like that. That was something we talked about yesterday, which is just because I say no this year does not make it know forever. And I think sometimes, especially neurodivergent brains, we can have a really hard time with black and white thinking. So if I say no, that means I'm always going to say no. If I say yes, it means I always have to say yes. And that's not true. Like, we can totally bounce back and forth, right? We can totally be like, all right, every couple of years, thank you for the heart me. Every couple of years, y'all, we got a treasure box up there. Happy Thursday. So, yeah, for sure. Like, we can be in that space where we're like, I'm going to do this every few years. I'm not going to do this every single year. It's not going to happen, right? So, what are 1 to 3 things you want to create? One thing you're committed to not doing. And then we're going to build a holiday flow. Okay. I love this holiday flow. You're going to do what works for your family. Thank you for the heart, me. You're going to do what works for your family. And everybody's family is different. Everybody wants different things. Okay. And everybody's in a different space with their family too. You got to wait till it clicks down. So it is at, where are we at? About 4 minutes now. When it hits the 0, then you can just click on it and it'll open and you'll get votes for Live Fest. So Live Fest round 3 starts tonight, I think it is. So technically, I guess it's tomorrow because I think it's at midnight. It said like 23 hours when I was looking at it. Cozy Family, if you know who Cozy Family is, they made it to the 3rd round. So I'm like grabbing every vote I can for them because I think it's amazing when we see creators that are, like our people, right? That we go in their room and support them and hang out and stuff. And they make it on something big like Live Fest, right? So this is one of the sample rhythms. This is like for a week. We have 1 connection day, 1 rest day, 1 errand day, and 1 flex day. So we plan in the flexes and we plan in the rest. And that is what I was saying earlier that I had trouble doing sometimes, which is I would like time block and I would time block everything right down to, and then there was no flex space. There was no space where if I'm out running errands somewhere and we get stuck in traffic, or, it takes a minute longer to get something and then that backs everything else up, right? Then it was like I would get home and I would be like 30 minutes into a 2-hour time block. And then I wouldn't it just felt very stressful and very like on edge because it's like I had this amount of time allotted for that. And now I don't have that much time. So, if you had to plan one day that was a guaranteed rest day, what would your day of choice be? So for me, I like Saturdays. I think this is something, and I will scream this from the rooftops. All right. This is Monday through Friday, I feel like is work. Monday through Friday is, even though I work from home, even though I choose my own schedule, even though I do all that stuff, Monday through Friday is work. Saturday is my rest day because Sunday is my prep day. And if I'm prepping on my rest day, then I feel cheated. So I always choose Saturdays so that Sundays I am free and open to do all the planning, all the prepping, because I just rested. We also use that as a family day when we can. But that it just really all depends on what we're doing because that is, and this is the thing, okay? Like sometimes for me personally, I feel, and I know that this is something I need to start learning to let go of, like for real, but because we are where we're at right now, right? And learning to let go is fine, but if I'm forcing myself to like, okay, you can't like do what you need to do that feels right now because you need to let go of this, it's going to like delay further movement, if that makes sense. So Britt just said over on YouTube, she just said Hers are Mondays. Kids go back to school, husband's back at work. It's my decompress time, which I get 100%. I would feel on Tuesday morning, personally, for me, like I was behind. I would feel like, oh my goodness, okay, I just like there was a whole Monday there that I didn't do anything. And so Monday through Friday, is it, where are we at here? All right, y'all can click that box. It just ticked down. So, but that is a thing, right? Where like, and we have to know ourselves. So, and everybody's days are different. Like, Britt says hers are Mondays. We had a Sunday on here. So everybody has different days and there's no wrong day. All right. So we are going to talk a little bit about like how we're going to like do some mantras. We're going to do some like fill in the blank statements. I am going to put all of this on a carousel post that is going to be posted on both sites. And IG. We're going to do that too. So fill in the blank. This year we choose blank. So our holiday feels blank. So the example that I gave you guys in this one was this year we choose calm. So our holiday feels safe and cozy. And I feel like that's one of those things where it depends on what you want to feel, right? If you want to feel excitement and, magic, then maybe you're going to choose, trying to think of the word for it. Maybe you're going to choose like, I want to say experiences, but it's not experiences. It's just like doing something that you normally wouldn't do, going out on a limb a little bit, right? Like sometimes we need that in life. I don't know how many times I've been in a state where I've had to like face one of my fears, do something that scared me a little bit, and that like jolted me out of that like mundane feeling. So maybe that's something that you want to do. Maybe you want to choose giving back. Like you want to do more to give back to your community, to your family, to whatever. Because you want to feel, like you are helping others, right? So the next one, our holiday rhythm is centered on blank, protected by blank, and supported by blank. So I have, for an example on this one, our holiday rhythm is centered on connection, protected by boundaries, and supported by reframing the events. So sometimes we have to reframe an event, okay? Sometimes what that looks like is this is the way it's always been, and this year we're going to do things differently. This year I'm going to prioritize, like maybe I'll go, but I won't force myself to stay the whole time. Maybe I'll go, but I already know that an hour and a half is going to be more than my family can handle. So instead of staying for 5 hours, we're going to go at, say, if it starts at 1, maybe we'll go at 2 and we'll leave at 3:30. And we're going to be there for that time. And whatever happens during that time is fine, but I'm going to let people know ahead of time, right? Sometimes I feel like if you get to somewhere early or, at the beginning of a longer period of time, you're going to have less people because people are going to kind of come in later, especially in a time like that. At least in my family, that's how a lot of people did it. It was like you had stragglers that came late. You had people that left early too. But for the most part, if people were going to be there for the long haul, they were going to come whenever. But if you come earlier, then there's going to be less people. It's going to be less stressful. And then you can just leave, early, right? And I feel like sometimes there's family members who are like, I can't believe you're leaving, or why do you have to leave so early? Or I don't understand. Why don't you want to hang out with us? And it's like, sometimes it's just too many people, overstimulation, too many people, too much going on, and I just need my space. I am not used to this, or my family's not used to this. So, those are all things where you can reframe. You can reframe holiday events by saying something like, okay, instead of getting together with everybody at one time, we're going to take and visit immediate families, right? So, like, maybe if you have three siblings, you're going to go to a sister's house, another sister's house, a brother's house, whatever, different days, right? That way you're reframing that idea that everything has to be done on the same day. I'm not missing time with you. I'm just doing it on a different day. And to some people, that's actually preferred, right? Because they're like, oh, we get to stretch the holiday out a little bit. And to other people, it's probably a little bit of a little bit chaotic or a little bit more than they're, used to or whatever. But if, especially if everybody else is doing it at the one thing, then you're only adding one extra day, but you're still at least saying, it's not like I don't want to hang out with you. It's not like I don't want to spend time with you. It's just when there's, three siblings and their significant others and their kids and grandparents and everybody, that can be overstimulating. A lot of extra noise, a lot of extra people, even if you have everything quiet. If there are, kids over here talking, kids over here talking, adults here, adults there, there's music going, that can be more than somebody whose brain cannot shut out the sensory stuff. That can be overwhelming. So that's just a thing there. Okay, so create a family mantra. So I have a few examples for you guys here. Calm is our compass. Connection is greater than perfection. Choose what matters. And magic, not chaos. So that's just giving you guys a jumping off point, right? Giving you guys a space where you guys can think however you want to look at those things. So you don't have to use these. You can totally take them. If you like them, run with one. But this gives you just something. I think sometimes, especially when we're in the middle of super emotional things, right? We talk about emotional senses being like, I'm having to say no to somebody and they do not understand. I'm having to change things and somebody is committed to just like dragging me, like they don't get it, that this is not going to work. And so I'm having to like take deep breaths and go deep down into myself and be like, I know that what I'm doing is right, even though they're trying to make me feel like it's wrong. You have these mantras that you can say, like, calm is our compass. Calm is our compass, or connection is greater than perfection. They want me to be perfect and do all the things. I just want connection, and I'm not going to feel connected to anybody if I'm dissociated and my kids are dissociated because we can't handle it, right? It's all of these little things that we don't think about until after the holidays. And now is the time to like really dig in, think about them, and plan for them. It's not that you can't have the holiday with everybody. It's not that you can't do things. You just have to change the way you do some things. You have to put some boundaries up. You have to have some supports in place, right? I've talked to you guys about this. If anybody needs help with this, I am more than happy to help. Figuring out, right? Like maybe there's things that you feel like I just cannot not do. Like I can't tell somebody no when, they've helped me and my family out so much. So how do I like compromise on that, right? Because here's another thing, all right? And this is something that I have been trying to really instill in my own thoughts, in my own psyche. And that's, everybody is kind of in a way out for themselves, okay? Not completely, but in a way everybody has like their own thoughts and their own like ideas of what they want, and sometimes we're not willing, right, to like say, okay, no, we'll compromise. But if I'm telling you that There's too many sounds, too much lights, people are too crazy. I would much rather come for an hour or two instead of staying for 7 on Christmas Day. And you're going to come at me and say, well, you can only come if you can stay for the 7 hours, or I'm going to make you feel bad if you don't stay. I'm going to keep up on stuff, right? If people are not willing to work with you, then that's that's kind of a red flag in a way, right? I get everybody wants to have it their way, and I 100% get that. But if, and this is something that I have experienced before in my life, and this is why I can say this. Like, I have had family members that didn't understand why my kids started spinning out of control, that didn't understand why my daughter was just spinning in circles, staring at the ceiling after we had been somewhere for 3 hours. And they were like, can't you make her stop? Like, she is annoying me. And I'm like, if we would have left 2 hours ago, this wouldn't be happening. And oh, then when I'd say something about it, it was, oh, well, you just worry too much. This isn't really a thing. Like, you just need to make her stop. And I'm like, you make her stop and watch what happens, because if she's not doing that to decompress from things, she's going to have a meltdown. And I know that. And then there's family members, and a lot of the time it's the family members who don't understand neurodivergence. Everything I do is for neurodivergent families, okay? So if you are neurotypical and your whole family is neurotypical and everybody is getting along fine and whatever, sure, you could take some of these strategies and roll with them. I don't have a problem with that. But a lot of what I'm saying is not going to make as much sense to you. But if you have ever been in that situation where you are like about ready to lose it, and everybody's saying, well, just get over it. Just suck it up. It's like everybody does this. Everybody spends all day long with their family on the holidays and hates it. Like, that's what we do. Hello? No. No. I choose not to hate the holiday. I choose to have connection. I choose to be in this place where everybody is having a good time. So, like, and Britt just said over here on YouTube, she said, I've started saying, when I say no to others, I say yes to myself. Sometimes you have to compromise, but not dismiss your boundaries. Exactly. Your mom is that way when she doesn't just denies me and my daughter's learning disabilities. It can be really, really hard. Okay. Like, it can. And that's one of the things I think that people don't like about the holidays, right? Because it's like we want it to be this joyous, wonderful, amazing time. But a lot of times it brings out the critic in people, and people just like won't let stuff go. And I feel like sometimes that's because they feel like, well, it's the holidays. You're not going to argue and ruin everybody's holiday. But like, they already started it. So I said what I said. But this is why some days I just chose not to do that stuff, right? Like, we would leave early. We would not go to certain family members' houses. We would, or I would just ignore people until it got to a place where I couldn't. And then when I couldn't, we were gone. Like, that was it. That was all there was to it. That was like, when we hit that breaking point, we were done and we went home. But okay, so what is one shift y'all are taking with you into this holiday season? I know for me, the big shift that I am taking into this holiday season is, and this is something that I didn't really talk about, but if you know, being more aware of where I'm choosing to put up boundaries. Because I think sometimes we defensively put things up, kind of because we're so used to things and whatever. but the awareness of like, okay, this is what is bothering me. This is why I'm putting this boundary up. Because when I'm aware of it and I'm like really like, I don't like dwell on it, but when I'm aware of like, this is the value that you are like going against, this is the boundary that you are crossing that I set for it, it puts me more at ease instead of, because I think sometimes when we talk about the boundaries feeling like walls, if we're putting up a boundary that feels like a wall, it is because we are doing that almost like on a like autopilot, right? Like it's a defense mechanism that just kind of swoops in and we put that up and we're done, right? And so I feel like in all of that, if we slow down enough and we are aware of why we have these boundaries, what the values are that people are crossing if they cross this boundary, then that makes it easier for us if they come back at us to be like, well, this is why. Like I value connection, and while I love connecting with you all, I don't feel like hostility and criticism is connection. You know, you want to connect in a genuine way, great. You want to be critical and hostile with me? No, like I am not here for that. And so like I said, I deeply feel like within all of that, like if we just slow down and take a minute. So that is what I am taking into this holiday season, is just being very, very intentional and slowing down and thinking through my boundaries. What is one thing that surprised you this week that you learned about yourself, that you learned about your family, that you learned about just in general, right? So feelings others have to your boundaries aren't your responsibility. Yes. Very, very true. And I feel very much like sometimes we just have to let stuff go, right? One of the things that surprised me this week was how, even though I've kind of been doing this for this whole time, and then I created the holiday playbook, and that was created in October. It's actually, I have it all finished. Just have to get the sales page up for it. Hello, how are you? Um, so, but I've went through that multiple times. And I think every time I go through it, I still figure out something new. I learn something new. It's from a different angle or different perspective or something. And I think that when we can do things multiple different times and still learn something, when we can do things multiple different times and still figure something new out or whatever, that's when we realize, like, one, how far we've been coming, right? Because if we are consistently growing and moving, but there's still more, it's like, look at how much we've had to grow and look at how far we've come already. And then also, like, this moment of like, I could have stopped at any time. I could have said, well, enough is well enough. I could have whatever, but continuing to go deeper and deeper and learn more and figure more out. It just shows how committed you are to your family's happiness, to your own happiness, right? So that's the 5-day challenge, y'all. Like I said, if y'all would like the holiday playbook, drop playbook in the comments and I will get you connected with that as soon as possible. Everything's been calm on my side, but I've been so proud of seeing your playbook come to life. Thank you. Aww. I appreciate you. I do. I feel like this was something that just, it is the center the teachings in the playbook are the center to neurodivergent, like, happiness, if you will, being able to like exist peacefully with your life. Yeah, in your actual life, it's going to take a little bit more than just a few things, right? Because we have so many different areas in our life that we got to work through. But the basic principles still remain. What lights you up? What drains you? Where are your expectations coming from on things, right? I mean, we can talk about this when it comes to content creation. Like, okay, what are the things that light you up about content creation and what are the things that drain you? The things that drain you are probably things that you need to let go of and not do. And the things that light you up, you need to run those down and continue and just, do different versions of them, do different ways of that same thing. Um, and then where are your expectations coming from, right? Are they coming from watching people around you? Are they coming from comparing yourself to others? Are they coming from things where you're like, oh my goodness, I need this to work for this reason? Like, where are they coming from? And then, we start to work on how do we want to feel day in and day out, right? Do I want to feel relaxed and, like, even though I'm working, even though I'm putting in effort, you can still feel like you're working towards something, like you're accomplishing something. You can still feel like, okay, I have, like, there's white space in between things, right? It's one of the reasons we talk about batching content, because if every area has something in it, then you're going to feel like you're suffocating. But if you have space in between things, if there's like 30 minutes in the middle of the day where you're like, heck, I could take a nap, I could scroll for a little bit, I could go for a walk, I could, whatever. Like, there's open space. It's figuring out those ways to make us feel less stressed and more excited about what we're doing, right? And then having the boundaries around things, right? No, I'm not going to sit and doom scroll. Yes, I know I probably need to scroll every so often to keep up on trends and to keep up on things. But there's a difference between scrolling for 20 minutes and taking notes on trends that you're seeing and doom scrolling for 4 or 5 or 6 hours. So having those boundaries around things, I'm going to set a timer. And when that timer goes off, we're going to move to the next thing. If I'm super close to that timer going off, I'm not going to start another video, because how often do we do that? Oh, well, I'll just finish after this video. And then we get like sucked in and we forget what we were going to do. We start watching another one and it's like, oh, well, I'll do it after this video, right? Like, just being aware of where we get sucked into things, being aware of where we are wasting time. And that doesn't mean that you can't scroll. One of the things that I love, I have YouTubers that I love watching because I love their content. I have TikTokers that I love watching their content. I don't get anything out of their content for my business purposes, okay? For my platform purposes. But I enjoy engaging with their content. I enjoy watching it. And so because of that, I will allow myself certain amounts of time. I play bingo on 2 different apps and I play slots on one. And I will allow myself a certain amount of time. I will play that for a certain amount of time and then we move on to something else. I set a creator focus on my iPhone so it has timed goals to not go past that time, active hours. That's awesome. That is awesome. I feel like there are so many tips and there are so many things, and that's another reason why I'm going to just throw that out there. If y'all want into my groups, I have one that's free and you can jump into that one at any time. Just type the word group in the comments and I will get with you and get you into it. But I also have like a content creator group, and I have a group for neurodivergent families, and I have a group if you're a neurodivergent brain who is ridiculously overachieving or wants to, like multi-passionate, wants to do all the things, to figure out what your dream life looks like. And I have one that if all three of those sound amazing and you don't want to pay individually for those, you can get into my VIP group and you pay once and you get pretty much everything that's in the other groups. Plus, since you are getting such a very, very, there's only certain people, right, who will do all of that stuff, right? Only certain people who will want all of that. And so it's only the most ambitious brains. It's only the people who are over the top, okay, I don't want to just go through this one for a little bit and then switch to that one when I'm ready or whatever. I want it all. And so if you are that person who wants it all, you can type all in. I will get you into that group. That will get you access to everything. Very, very exciting. Right now for December, we're just kind of getting everything started. But in come January, it's going to be jumping off. Okay, I have the first round of the Dream Lab coming into play. That's going to be huge. And that is the Dream Lab group that goes with the Dream Lab. You will get the Dream Lab course with that. So another super exciting bit there. But yeah, so that is kind of where I'm doing that. If you guys want that, let me know. Other than that, does anybody have any questions or anything that they want to say? I'm going to take a drink real fast since I haven't for 50 minutes. All right. Well, I appreciate y'all being here. Like I said, I feel like this was probably the best way. I was trying to do the 5-day challenge in November. We got to day 3 and things just kind of started to unravel around day 4. And I couldn't get internet to work. I couldn't get anything to work in that moment. And so that got pushed back, and then the holiday happened, and I'm like, you know what? We're just going to jump in and we're going to do this. And I'm going to do 2 and 2 and 1, and we're going to make it 3 days. Because I think I can do things for 3 days. And that's another thing I'm going to tell you right now. Know what your limits are, okay? I have been talking to some people off and on when it comes to content creation. And if you know, you know. I have been trying to hit 12 short videos over on TikTok every day, Monday through Friday. And then on the weekends, I try to get 6 up per weekend day. However, I try to batch my weekend content so that I can schedule that out. And I don't necessarily I still go in the app on the weekends, when I'm on downtime and stuff, but it's not for the purpose of working. It's for the purpose of connecting, of building relationships, of supporting, the community. So that being said, I've hit, I think every single time I've hit 3 days, it's usually, I have a day where it's spot on and things are done early and we are rocking and rolling. And then I have a day where we're kind of, I don't know, we're doing it, but it's slow. And then I have a day where I can't, it's really hard to finish it. And most of the time I don't. And then maybe I take a full day off and then I start back over again. And so I am working on trying to figure out what the best way to combat that is. Some people might say, well, cut down on your videos so that you can and I will probably do that come the first of the year. Right now, with things being the way they are with TikTok Shop, I am trying to push more TikTok Shop videos, but then I don't want it to be all TikTok Shop videos on my thing. So I try to do over and above in the other ways. So I probably will, come the first of the year, do like maybe 9 videos a day. Um, and then I can do like three, 3 sets of 3. And then on my good day, I can do an extra set of 3. And then on the next day, I can do my 3. But then, like on that third day, I can do, like 2 and add 1. And I've had a little bit of a break. And then we can do the same thing on the other end where I just do the 3, on that. So that's kind of like a way of helping you balance stuff out, right? And another thing to remember, guys, is short videos, especially over on TikTok, like 7 seconds is really good, and it's short enough that people can generally stay for more of it. They're generally going to be like, okay, I'll stay and watch, at least 2 or 3 seconds of it, right? If you watch 2 or 3 seconds of a 1 minute video, that's a lot less completion time than if you're watching 2 or 3 seconds of a 7 second video. So that's another point. If you don't have to make it long, don't. If you're just trying to, one tip. And that's the thing, like people who are like, oh, these are my top 10 tips. Okay, you can do that. That's a great one, especially if you're like in creator rewards or something like that, and you want that longer thing and you want people to sit and watch it. But also having my one tip of, this is my top tip, this is my second tip, this is my third tip. And then you can take that big one that you did and break that down, and you have 10 little bitty tip videos too that you can spread out. So it doesn't have to be huge. People don't necessarily want to be overwhelmed. Maybe they'll watch it and maybe they'll want to watch it, but also maybe they won't. Also, maybe they'll watch 1 or 2 tips and then they'll click off. So that's like a thought to always have, like, okay, I can do some longer ones, but also I need to do shorter ones so that I'm getting my watch time in, and then when you do your 7 second videos, here's another tip for you. And this goes on either platform, okay? Put a lot of text on the screen if you're going to put text on the screen. All right. People want to read it. If they're reading it and it takes over 7 seconds to watch, they've already watched a full one while they're reading it, and then they're into that second one. So that's going to just help you with your retention time right there. And it's another, like I said, there's tips like that if you just create more of that kind of content, just by default, you're going to start to see your watch time go up. You're going to start to see more people engaging, because if you put an engaging thing on the screen and they took the time to read that, they're probably going to react to it in some way. So, alrighty, guys, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for almost an hour now. We're at 57 minutes and some odd seconds over here. I am going to go ahead and hop off of here and move on to the next stuff that I have to do for the day. But I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I will talk to y'all later. Bye.